into this kind of wondering. I mean, he's been in the big stage at the collegiate level, but until you've been into a Super Bowl, you don't know what that's like. And he now has an appreciation for how one mistake, and you could argue maybe the greatest game that Jaylen Hurts ever played in his life, but the one mistake got him. So you have to just play a clean football game. I think they've got the better team. They've got the more talented team. Just do what you've done all year long. Protect the football.
You think there's a different offensive game plan? I mean, we go back, and Bucky, this week even on the shows that we were doing, we saw what Jaylen Hurts was able to do. Those numbers speak for themselves. I mean, that was an aerial attack. They're doing it differently. Do we see flashes of that Eagles offense in a game like this?
Well, I mean, Spaz is going to take away 26. Steve Spagnuolo is going to come into the game and say, we're going to make Jaylen Hurts beat us, and he's going to have to beat us through the air. I expect to see a bunch of blitzes on early downs, and how well Jaylen Hurts punishes them for bringing pressure will ultimately determine if the Eagles are able to win.
I'm just nice there's not a lot of traffic, you know. So I think it's a good day to get out on the road.
I'm wondering if there's actually a shot from today. I'm just throwing that out there. There is the potential that it is a little chaotic right now down in New Orleans, right around the Superdome. Nonetheless, Patrick Mahomes, and I know we've talked about his legacy and what he can potentially be with another win today in the Super Bowl. A guy that knows what it's like to win a couple of those big games. One of our friends and colleagues, a Hall of Famer, Kurt Warner, caught up with 15.
All right, Patrick, you're 29 years old, you're in your 8th season, and you've got people already talking about you possibly being the greatest quarterback to ever play this game. Are there ever moments where you can take it all in and let it truly hit you what you've accomplished?
Definitely. I mean, after the seasons are over and I'm sitting on my couch at home and just talking to my family and my friends, it's just surreal to be in this position. As someone who grew up and football was never really my sport, it's always funny talking to people about how I quit Pop Warner football because I wasn't the starting quarterback, or I was the backup quarterback on my freshman football team, and now we're here. So I'm just appreciative of the moment and being able to enjoy it with my buddies.
There's going to be guys like Lamar Jackson and Josh Allen watching this going, Patrick, you have no idea how hard this is because you don't have to go through you. Do you ever feel bad for those guys?
I feel bad that they don't get to get the experience, but at the same time, I know those guys are putting in the work. I know that they're competing at a very high level and that their time will come at some point. I mean, that's why I'm so appreciative that I keep getting these opportunities, is because I understand how great the quarterbacks are, especially in the AFC, and I've been able to get here a couple of times. I've lost a couple of them in the AFC Championship, and I understand that you have to go in and put that work in every single year, no matter what the circumstance or results happened the year before.
Your team is made up of a bunch of great guys, yet the fact that you keep winning continually brings out the haters. Do you guys hear the noise? Do you guys embrace being the bad guys?
Yeah, I mean, we hear the noise, obviously. I mean, these days, it's hard not to with social media and everything you have every single week. But I think we know who we are, I think, at the end of the day. And if that's other people that seems like villains, we can embrace the villain. I think we embrace who we are more than anything. We just know that we put in hard work every single week. We prepare to go out there and be great on the football field, and we enjoy being able to come together as competitors that love to win.
When you prepare for Super Bowl 59 and you look at this Eagles defense, what's the biggest challenge?
Yeah, I think it's just they're so good at every single level, and they have a good mix of young talent to go with veterans that have been there before. I've played Vic Fangio a lot of times, have so much respect for him and his scheming that he has, and so it's going to be a hard-fought battle. And we're going to have to learn from whatever we do early in the game and get better at it towards the end of the game. That's what you want in the Super Bowl, is two great teams going up against each other. You've
had your Super Bowl moments, your MVP moments. Let's say game-winning play in the Super Bowl, and it can't be Patrick Mahomes. What guy on this team would you love to have that moment?
Yeah, I mean, Travis Kelce, I think, would be the one that everybody talks about. But I think if Kareem Hunt can get one of those rushing touchdowns, just with his journey, would be special. I was with him when we got drafted together. Obviously, he made mistakes. He learned and became a better person and matured, and bringing him back and seeing him thrive, it's been a lot of fun. So if Kareem or Travis can get it, that'd be awesome.
Well, you represent the league well. Congratulations once again. Can't wait to watch you. Go make history, man.
I appreciate you, man, always.
He really is a joy to watch on the football field. Quarterbacks to start at least 5 Super Bowls.
Crazy.
It really is wild, right? I mean, we got Elway and Tom Brady, and there's a reason why we're
Look at the age.
He's not even 30 yet.
I know. I mean, think about what Brady was doing even late stages. I mean, there's an opportunity for Patrick Mahomes to really, truly solidify himself as the greatest of all time. All three of us have worked in talk radio. We know what the topic is, the legacy. Is he the GOAT? Is he not the GOAT? Last time I checked, Tom Brady still got 7 Super Bowls. Maybe the greatest winner. I don't know how you want to characterize it, but why? Is this a legit question? I mean, isn't he still chasing Brady for this title?
I mean, kind of, but not really. Like, if you pull this off today, a three-peat, 4 in 6 years. You've been to 5 Super Bowls in 6 years. There's no one who's ever had a run like that. And I know we're ring counting when it comes to Tom Brady. Tom Brady did it over a 20-plus year career. Pat Mahomes is still in the early stages of his career. To me, it kind of puts him in rarefied air if they're able to get this done.
Yeah, to me, it's interesting because a lot of times we have that discussion, greatest winner,
Sure,
and then versus the most talented. This is one of those rare moments, and I feel weird invoking the name, but that's the Michael Jordan thing. Michael Jordan was a great winner, but he was also the most talented player.
Yes.
We never said Tom Brady was the most talented player. We always argued that he was the clutch and a gamer and a winner who had a couple big statistical seasons, but never did we say, okay, just pure talent-wise, he was number one. Mahomes is that guy and the winner.
And I will say that he probably learned from some of those losses to New England because what Pat Mahomes has done, if this was baseball, he's the home run hitter who can also hit for average. And so he has become the guy that early it was all about knocking it out, big plays, Tyreek Hill, Travis Kelce. They took Tyreek Hill away. They didn't have the same weapons, and he learned how to dink and dunk. Now he's unstoppable because he can play however he needs to play to win. He didn't have that club in his bag early in his career.
the style of play argument definitely makes sense to me, but I also think what you might have been using as a knock, and I don't want to put words in your mouth about.
Yeah, why do you hate him, Buck?
No, the Brady factor over longevity.
Longevity.
To me, that's actually a win in his favor to be able to do it in this game. That is violent to be out on that football
He
field
did,
to win.
but there was a 10-year window when they didn't go to Super Bowls. I'm just saying, like every year, Pat Mahomes is either going to the Super Bowl or the championship game. There's no fall off that we've seen. So right now, small sample size.
Sure.
If he shut it down after this game, if they won, you can have the argument that he's the greatest of all time, given what he's been able to accomplish.
Brady played 10 of those things? Is that right?
Yes, yeah. Which is still wild.
That's a lot, Buck.
It is.
20-plus years. What year is this for Pat?
Half of his career, right? I mean, he's in that big game. By the way, because you brought it up, MJ, I brought it up to you yesterday. If Mahomes gets it done today, is it Mahomes or is it Michael Jordan the most dominant?
Oh, no, Michael Jordan. That's to me most dominant. Yeah, because Michael Jordan, Phil Jackson's a good coach, but he didn't need that.
What do you mean he didn't need that? He couldn't win. He couldn't win without Pippen and all this. Pat Mahomes was winning with everybody.
Yeah.
Ever since he's been the starting quarterback, the Kansas City Chiefs have won at an unprecedented level.
Okay, but I will say this. Did they ever go to Mike and say, hey, Mike, you only need to score 12 points a game, and then we're going to go ahead and win? Because that's what this Chiefs team this year is.
It really is wild.
Like,
By the way, I have officially turned this into a talk radio show. Well, look, I brought it up yesterday.
Michael Jordan. You went to North Carolina.
That's a great call. I forgot to bring that up, too.
Honestly, it's like just being honest. You just got to be honest.
Just working the football angles here. The Eagles putting this out on social media. It's actually kind of cool, the reflections here on what we've seen from Jaylen Hurts the last time these two teams met. Can he get it done today? Which has got us thinking. Time for Who's Eating Good. And yes, it is presented by Applebee's. All right, let's start with this Eagles squad here. DJ, who's that guy that should stand out and have a big game?
We talk about it all the time with great defensive coordinators. They're going to make you left-handed. They're not going to get hit with the right hand. And so that's why I think Steve Spagnuolo takes away. He's going to try and take away Barkley, A.J. Brown. I think Dallas Goedert has a chance to get loose a little bit in this game. I think he's underrated. I think Jaylen Hurts trusts him. Big third downs. You watch in this ball game. The ball finds Dallas Goedert. He is a big, athletic tight end who's a tough cover. So that's one I keep an eye on.
I mean, it makes a lot of sense because when you look at the weapons that the Eagles have, they have so many on the outside. You can't stop everybody. And I'm going to say the same thing about their defense. All week we've talked about Jalen Carter and Nolan Smith and the young guys in secondary. Hey, Zach Bond. Zach Bond's a tackling machine that can stuff the stat sheet in a bunch of different ways. He is the one that I believe is going to eat because he's so versatile, where you use him off the line of scrimmage, where you put him on the line of scrimmage and let him rush. He can do so many different things. He's the queen on the chessboard for Vic Fangio. That's why he could have a big game.
A couple minutes ago, we heard Kurt Warner's conversation with Patrick Mahomes, and he talked about that backfield and Kareem Hunt. Is that where you go on the Chiefs side with Pacheco and Hunt?
I think both of those guys. Yeah. The running game has to be a factor because we always think about the Kansas City Chiefs as a high-flying offense. But in these games, they really like to control the game. If you look at time of possession and those things, they want to have it at about 32, 33 minutes so they can protect their defense and really control the outcome. To do that, you have to be able to run the football. Now, the thing about it, Kareem Hunt, Isaiah Pacheco, I don't know which one is going to be the bell cow because they go to the hot hand. Kareem Hunt has been the guy that's been hot through the postseason, though.
I didn't know if before we were done if you want to insult maybe like Mia Hamm, like Lawrence Taylor, any other Carolina alums you want to insult
Mia Hamm's a
today?
classmate.
Okay.
Mia Hamm, Christine Lilly, like those are my people.
I'm just saying,
I'm just saying we got to be
Michael
objective.
Jordan does get
Standard is high.
from a Carolina guy.
And by the way, with the pocket square,
Standard is high. It
Carolina
doesn't
blue
change.
as well.
Can I give you mine?
Yeah.
I'm going to go with Karlaftis. I mean, we've talked about Chris Jones, and again, I think in these big games we look at stars, and yes, there are stars in this game. Somebody like a Karlaftis is going to be the difference in this game with the Kansas City Chiefs. All that attention going to Chris Jones. Sure. He has a way of finishing. It's not always the most aesthetically pleasing pass rush in terms of how polished he is, but he always keeps working. And with Jaylen Hurts, who can extend plays, the effort with which he rushes, I think, will be important in this game.
Yeah. The only other name that I'll throw out there, no one's asking me for my opinion, I'll just say it.
What's your opinion?
No. I mean, was Dean Smith overrated as a coach?
You're throwing all this Carolina stuff in there. Go ahead.
No, but we talked about this a little bit yesterday. Nick Bolton's got experience in this game. He was a difference maker two seasons ago.
Maker. That second level of the defense, they don't get enough credit. Nick Bolton, Liam Snell, Drew Tranquill, they make a lot of plays, and people don't talk about them.
Can you imagine that dude gets a scoop and score in this game?
Oh, man,
come on
another,
now. That'd be kind of awesome to see. I think Spags had said it, hey, he's the Patrick Mahomes of our defense. So just something to keep in mind when you're watching this game. Does Nick Bolton make some plays here for this Kansas City defense? More to come here, though, on Game Day Preview. Yes, we got some more reaction from New Orleans. Our reporters have been doing a phenomenal job all week long. Those last-second adjustments and those reports, that's still to come. Been waiting an entire season to get to today. Yes, it is the Super Bowl. Patrick Mahomes, can he get it done? 3 consecutive wins. Jaylen Hurts and the Philadelphia Eagles standing in his way. For a little bit more on the matchup, we head back to New Orleans. Here's Stacey Davis.
As we all know, Saquon Barkley has been extraordinary this season. 14 games, playoffs included, 100 yards or more on the ground. Here's what's interesting. The Chiefs have not given up a 100-yard rushing running back this year, and he will be their sole focus I asked offensive coordinator Kellen Moore to give me some footprints of Steve Spagnuolo's defense, and clearly he told me they make you earn everything. They don't give up easy plays, but he also said Spags does a great job stressing you in the protection game, but more so stressing you with pressures on first and second down to stop the run. Thus, the Eagles know they have to be almost perfect on first and second down and keep those chains moving as they look to keep Saquon Barkley moving and ride him into Super Bowl 59.
Stacey, the dude has been unstoppable this entire season. There was a legit argument that a running back named Saquon Barkley could have been this year's MVP. I know he was Offensive Player of the Year. I mean, look, I got a bunch of Hall of Famers on this list.
So crazy.
It's wild. Interesting nugget that Stacey just threw out there, that the Chiefs haven't given up 100 yards to an opposing rusher. I got to imagine if that happens today, DJ, Eagles aren't winning this game.
Well, if Saquon gets 100 yards in this game, the Eagles will win this game.
Yeah.
100%. To me, I'm actually curious to see what Saquon's going to do in the pass game in this, because the Chiefs going to sell out. Those run blitzes are coming on early downs. Can Kellen Moore time that up with a screen? Because if he does, they're not catching Saquon Barkley.
Well, that is the underrated part of it, because we haven't even really got to the part of Saquon Barkley being the pass catcher, because he's been so dominant as a runner. But one of the benefits that they got from him is a multi-purpose playmaker out of the backfield. So, right, DJ, you're right. If he catches the ball out of the backfield, if he has one-on-one situations where they really can get him in space and it becomes 1-on-2 or 3, that's a win for Saquon Barkley.
Is there a specific adjustment, though, that Spags, when he goes to the Rolodex of games this season where Saquon has balled out, how do you find the weak point?
You got to get penetration. I mean, that's the whole thing. And that's where I come back to the screen, is that you're going to have to take some chances. You're going to have to send some extra guys down in the box. You're going to have to cut them loose. And to me, I'm telling you, early in this game, you're going to see screens from the Eagles. They're going to see if they can try and not only hit one, but see if they can discourage all this blitzing that they're going to end up seeing.
I wouldn't be surprised to see Philadelphia go back to some of the things that they used early in Jaylen Hurts' career. RPO game, where we have the run game with the bubble screen or a slant behind it, to try and put them in conflict, because the only way you can stop the RPO bubble screen game, you got to play man-to-man. Are the Chiefs willing to play that much man-to-man, knowing that the receivers on the outside are dangerous in one-on-one situations?
You know, 2 seasons ago, we had a conversation about Jaylen Hurts, who could have been the MVP in that campaign, gets to the Super Bowl, loses to the Kansas City Chiefs. This year, it was Saquon Barkley. Regardless, Jaylen Hurts has balled out. The one-on-one interview with Rich Eisen is right now.
It's pretty cool that I get to talk to you now before your second Super Bowl, because one of the first times I ever talked to you was before the draft. You know, I asked you a question, what would any team get if they drafted Jaylen Hurts? And you said they're going to get a dog. They're going to get someone who leads. And I'm wondering what goes through your mind right now as you've helped lead this team to your second Super Bowl.
Yeah, I think those have always been things that have been within my mentality, within my heart, within my approach, within my work. It's been an ultimate team effort, being able to accomplish the things we've been able to accomplish, and it's been an honor leading the way and everything.
Do you think of your journey at all, your whole life, on a week like this, leading up to this?
I think there are always moments, I think, that come up where you think about what you've gone through and what you've experienced to get to where you are. I think that's the beauty of the journey, but the journey is what you learn from the most. You know, you put a lot of work in for opportunities like this, and it's been that way for me a very long time now, and I'm just excited for another chance.
As far as your leadership skills and being a leader of your team, what part of your journey do you draw upon the most?
I think every experience and everything that I've gone through has had a different lesson in it, but ultimately, I've been able to grow because I've been willing to learn whatever it takes that year, that group. That's why winning has always really been the main thing. You have to do what needs to be done.
You're talking about your constant change. I've lost track of the number of different offensive coordinators and offenses that you've had to learn.
Yeah, me too.
And right? And so it seems like if you can be the guy who can remain the constant for everyone around you, perhaps that's what it is, that you draw upon that as being a leader.
It's all in the effort and it's all in the work. That's the one thing that's always remained constant. It's always been this attitude of being determined and the will of not being denied of what's in front of you. And so it's all in the work. It's all in the time spent, all in the blood, sweat, and tears that you put in and you invest in. When you think about winning, it's about beating the opponent. When you think about improving, it's about beating yourself.
It was noticed by somebody that your screensaver on your phone prior to the beginning of last season was you strolling through the red and gold Chiefs-colored confetti, walking off the field in Arizona after the Super Bowl 57 loss. Is that still the screensaver on your phone?
It is.
Why?
Let's just see if it changes.
What would it mean for you to change it? What would it mean for you to win it?
The goal is to win. I don't need a screensaver to remind me of anything, but it's there.
Jaylen, what will go through your mind in that tunnel before the Eagles are introduced in front of the fans in the Superdome in New Orleans?
The same as it's been all year. Go out there and find a way to win.
And he's got a great opportunity because this is a loaded roster that he brings to New Orleans. You see what he did those first few weeks of the season, and then an epic run. That one loss, by the way, he left in the first quarter against Washington in Week 16 because of that concussion. He's found ways to get it done, and obviously has been a dominant football player. Attacking this Chiefs defense, is it as simple as just saying, hey, Jaylen, here's Saquon Barkley, let him go do his thing? Or is there some wrinkles here where we see the guy that was slinging it and being surgical in the Super Bowl 2 seasons ago?
I mean, I think a lot of it is to take what the defense gives them. And I think very early you're going to see Spags dial up the pressure. And so how do they attack that? What is the plan? We talked about RPOs early. It's also winning some of these isolation routes. I want to see early is Trent McDuffie up to the challenge of dealing with A.J. Brown. Are there other guys up to dealing with Devontae Smith and Dallas Goedert? The Eagles are loaded. They're an offensive juggernaut. So take advantage of those winnable matchups. And if they strike early with a big play in the passing game, now it changes how you have to defend the run. And oh, by the way, do not forget to use him on design quarterback runs and the read option game. That is what Jaylen Hurts does well. We saw early in one of those playoff contests he broke out. Changes the way you got to defend everybody.
I wrote down 3 things. And the first one was selectively aggressive. They're going to give you some one-on-ones, and they're going to try and go get you. You got to be selectively aggressive, take your shots, and go get them. So that's the first thing. The second thing is what he's done an incredible job of, hey, if it's not there, throw it away. And what that does, not only are we not turning the ball over, we're not giving up field position on sacks. This offense, with all the multitude of weapons they have, don't find yourself in 2nd and 13. Second and 10, you're fine. Just throw the ball away if you have to. And then the last thing, just what you to echo what you said, Buck. Hey, there's no shame. Pull that thing. Yeah. Pull that thing because everybody's eyes are on Saquon. You might have a game where he gets 60, 70 yards rushing.
It also negates the blitz because the thing that you can't prepare for, when you're blitzing, you're expecting the
math changes.
Plays. Yeah, the math changes. And also, every different blitzer that's on the outside has to account for the quarterback. Do you have enough reps to get those guys ready to deal with the quarterback?
Hey, every team, I mean, Patrick Mahomes is going to do it different than Jaylen Hurts, right? Like, pick one of your 32 quarterbacks in the NFL. Everyone's got a different personality, a different skill set. You guys got to know Jaylen through the draft process, right? What is it about him? And I'm not going to say why is he a fit for this team, but why is he a fit to be inside any NFL locker room? And once again, we're talking about him as a guy that gets to the Super Bowl for a second time in 3 seasons.
I think DJ and I agree. Like, the underrated quality that your franchise quarterback has to have is not only leadership ability, but work ethic. Like, his ability to come in and work as a second-round pick and to outwork everybody in the building was impressive. The other thing, his ability to connect and lead other guys. He is very demanding. He has high standards. And the Eagles have kind of become his team because he demands so much of himself and others.
I think you look at Tom Brady and Mahomes, think about the fist pumps, the energy, the juice that they bring. That's not Jaylen Hurts. Jaylen Hurts, to be honest with you, is Joe Montana, where it is this way the whole. You don't know if he just threw the game-winning touchdown or if he just turned the ball over. Yeah. And I think that calm heartbeat, that calm presence, when you have the better roster, which I, again, to reiterate, I think they do, I think that's the right mix.
Also, he calms it down because remember, their coach is emotional.
Sure.
So Jaylen Hurts is the calming influence, is like, oh, we got this, let's calm it down.
Whereas Andy Reid's the calm with Pat being emotional and up and down.
What's the impact on a guy like A.J. Brown? Because you talk about Sirianni, right? And I think we sense that. Not for nothing. I kind of get that same vibe from A.J.
They love him. They love that, though. And that fits their culture and who they are. But you have to have the balance. And so they have the emotion, they have the passion on the sideline and with some of their players. But then you have the guy who's taking the snap who's just even as it gets.
And make no mistake about it, A.J. Brown and Jaylen Hurts, at one time they were best friends. I'm assuming they still are because they came up together. I think the ability to be able to have these hard conversations with teammates and then move past it is really what team sports are about, and they've been able to get past that. So you don't want to neuter the energy that they play with.
Sure.
You just got to make sure you can manage it, and I think Jaylen Hurts can manage it.
Would you tell me in the break about how he shows up, or did show
Yeah,
up?
talking to the coaches in Philadelphia, said he would be the first one in the building. He walked in with a briefcase, like a 1970s like leather briefcase.
Let's go to work.
Just showing up to work.
A little throwback from Jaylen Hurts, who once again, that flat line, just emotionally, I think you kind of characterized it really well. Game-winning touchdown or game-winning pick, it just feels like he is always even out there. That is going to be an asset for this team as we watch the Super Bowl later today. You know, most of these guys are just showing up, just making sure that the fit is right. What's on the playlist? Is there a proposal?
Kelsey came aggressive.
What's he thinking about?
Brett Veach, they wore those jackets last year, the Hank Stram jackets.
Yeah.
Him and Andy Reid 2 years in a row.
I don't know how I feel about that suit. Super Bowl less than 2 hours away. Dallas Goedert, Saquon Barkley in the house, ready to go. They should be. Aside from the biggest game of the year, there's always some news around the league. Our insiders, Tom, Ian, and Judy, and Mike, they have more.
We are live outside the Caesars Superdome. The countdown to the Chiefs and Eagles in Super Bowl 59 is on. Meanwhile, there's a lot of news around the league, Ian, including for the New York Jets.
Yeah, we will start right there. The Jets and Aaron Rodgers appear headed for a split. Rodgers expected to play elsewhere in the 2025 season. If, in fact, he wants to play rather than retire, it does seem, as of right now, that he would like to play. So certainly, if that is the case, Rodgers not expected to be back with the New York Jets. If you followed along, you knew this season, this is probably the way it was going. Woody Johnson in particular has been frustrated with Rodgers' play. Injured the first year, didn't play great this year. It seems they now will need a new quarterback for a new regime. Really not a surprise there, but obviously significant for the Jets, which also likely means, Judy, Davante Adams set to move on as well as more than $30 million in a cap hit for the 2025 season. Will need to renegotiate to stay. Likely he would not do that, especially if Rodgers is gone. Perhaps they could reunite elsewhere.
really not much of a surprise that Aaron Glenn would want a clean break. He is a first-time head coach. They have a first-time general manager, and obviously the results with Aaron Rodgers and company have been extremely disappointing for the New York Jets. So they are going to rip the Band-Aid off rather than basically use Aaron Rodgers as what would have been like a bridge quarterback. Strange thing to say, but they're going to rip the Band-Aid off, and of course now they need quarterbacks, multiple quarterbacks on the roster. We'll see what they do in the draft. Can they move up in the draft to get one of them? Will they take one in free agency? We'll see where they head next.
Lots of quarterback questions around the league. The Saints, who play right behind us, have their own, but they've got to hire their head coach first. It's going to be Kellen Moore. We've told you that. The Saints made an appointment to meet with Moore after this game. This Super Bowl is over, with the expectation that after that meeting, they would officially hire Moore, because, frankly, the other guys they could have hired the last couple of weeks, and they didn't do that. So Kellen Moore, after his final game with the Eagles, will become the head coach of the Saints. He's got to then fill out an entire coaching staff. They got to figure out what they want to do at the quarterback position with Derek Carr, who's got $10 million guaranteed, and then another $30 million that triggers right at the start of the league year in March. So a lot of stuff for the Saints to get done, but it starts with hiring Kellen Moore. That should be official in the next couple days.
Of course, we got a lot of trade news we'll be getting to track here as we move into these coming weeks, heading up to the Combine. We got a story on NFL.com right now about the pass rushers who potentially could be on the move. Myles Garrett's requested a trade. Could Max Crosby or Micah Parsons potentially be on the move as well? Obviously, wide receiver news from you earlier today. Deebo Samuel and the 49ers appear to be headed for a split as well. And, of course, the Cooper Kupp trade talks are continuing to be ongoing. Right now here outside the Caesars Superdome, it's getting loud. The fans are trickling into the party out here. A lot more to come. Back to you guys.
God, you start thinking about some of the news that Tom just made reference to. I guess we could touch on all that stuff starting tomorrow, because we got the Super Bowl today, but this is going to be a busy offseason. And we got the draft around the corner. You guys had a front row seat for this dude, Xavier Worthy, at the Combine. Fastest 40 we have ever seen. That was absolutely electric, but he's not the only rookie in this game. In fact, he'll be matching up against Quinyon Mitchell, Cooper DeJean on the other side. Is Worthy the type of game and role that he's got tonight? What does it look like to you guys?
Well, you look at the speed and you think, okay, they're going to get him over the top, get him vertical. That's where that speed plays. That speed plays, you watch, on key third downs, Buck, all the mesh concepts that Andy Reid likes to run, they're going to make whoever's covering him have to chase through traffic, and that's like trying to chase a Ferrari down the 405.
And that's what it is. When you have someone who has that much speed, everyone thinks about the vertical shots, like he's going to run past people, but it's not that. DJ's talking about the horizontal game where he can catch and run away from the defense. We've seen him involved in more of those things. Also, because of the Super Bowl and Andy Reid loves gadgets and tricks, watch for a reverse and in the round, something where the defense goes one way and he makes them go all the way back with the fast guy with the ball in his hands.
Yeah, that is Rookie Watch presented by Intuit QuickBooks. And yet at the end of the day, Quinyon Mitchell, we know what kind of an athlete he is, but Cooper DeJean, it's a special day for him. And he's not the only one on this Eagles roster that is celebrating before the Super Bowl, which is sort of odd to think about. But yeah, when it's their birthday, why not get a little bit of celebration for those guys? Saquon Barkley, how about this? I'll take it. I know what he's blowing out the candles and what he's thinking about, and that is obviously winning.
Manifestation there.
Yeah, let's put it out into.
By the way, if you haven't, watch Cooper DeJean's basketball highlights on YouTube. You'll thank me later.
Hops.
Yeah.
Hops.
Is it sick?
Oh, it's vicious.
He's sick. He's an outstanding athlete. Yeah.
You guys ever go through that dark rabbit hole on YouTube where you just start, like Sean Kemp dunk contest?
Yeah.
What?
Strong.
It's
strong.
One of those. So that next time I'll throw the Cooper highlights in there. X factor in this game. Who do you got?
Well, you're looking at X factors, and I'm thinking about Steve Spagnuolo, Vic Fangio, the coordinators. Like, which one of these guys is going to really make the difference? And I love Fangio and everything that he's done, but when you just look at Spag's history and how much history he has in this game, from slowing down the Tom Brady Patriots to slowing down Kyle Shanahan, like, he always seems to dial it up. So to me, Steve Spagnuolo is definitely an X factor.
Yeah, you talk about Steve Spagnuolo and Vic Fangio. My X factor, I'm thinking about which playmaker is going to be big, Hollywood Brown or Dallas Goedert. When I look at this offense, we talked about Xavier Worthy, but I think Xavier Worthy benefits from Hollywood Brown coming back. Hollywood Brown is not a clone, but he's a fast playmaker on the perimeter, vertical shots, crossing routes, all those things. They complement each other. So with those mesh routes, look for Hollywood Brown to get loose.
Once again, when you also talk about some of these individual matchups with Hollywood Brown and Dallas Goedert, I also think about Mahomes, Hurts, using their legs. How much of a factor in this game?
I'm going to say yards-wise and maybe touchdown-wise, Hurts is going to be the one who has the edge. But I'm telling you, and maybe it's just the scars from calling Charger games for the last 8 years, but there's going to be late game moment, and it's going to be a drive, and it's going to be, you're going to say it's 3rd and 8. This is not a quarterback rundown. And somehow Patrick Mahomes is going to scamper and get the most important 9 yards of the entire game. He's just done it for his whole career.
Well, I mean, I like all those things, but the Philadelphia Eagles have the cheat code, the tush push. Like, anytime it's a situation where it's 2 yards or fewer, they're going to get in their formation, their rugby scrum, and Jaylen Hurts is going to get the down. And they don't care if they have to do it back-to-back downs on 3rd and 4th down. It's a big factor outside of design quarterback runs and the read option. You can't underestimate the value of the tush push.
I can't wait to see what happens over the next couple seasons. There's so much outcry on social media, like, hey, is this a play that should be allowed in the game? Cam Hayward was actually on Super Bowl Live with us the other day. He said, hey, I'm not a big fan of changing plays. You got to let it sit. We got to figure out ways to go and stop it. Spoken like a throwback guy. It is definitely one of the stories that we continue to track, and I know we're down in New Orleans right now, but we take a moment to pay tribute to those affected by the attack in New Orleans on January 1st. Throughout the week, Nola Strong has been the message that will serve as a symbol of strength and resiliency as we partner with the league and our colleagues at Fox Sports to ensure that those lost will not be forgotten, and those who remain find the love and support that they need. We'll be right back. Back here on Game Day Preview. Yes, we're about an hour or so away from kickoff of the biggest game of the year, Super Bowl 59 from New Orleans. Does Patrick Mahomes add to that legacy? And of course, Travis Kelce, is there going to be a proposal? I'm out the door today and I was asked, Maria says to me, like, hey, you think there's going to be a proposal with Taylor Swift? I said, I got no idea. Is that like a thing that's being floated out there?
Well, somebody proposed at the Senior Bowl this year.
Oh, yeah.
That would be now the second worst idea. If they did this, it would take the top spot.
Oh, there's a part of me.
Go find a private
Seriously,
restaurant and
right?
get, what are we doing? Come on.
Well, I thought last year was going to be the year because, the confetti falling, I thought it was perfect. But maybe this year, especially if it's the swan song, if he's gone. If Travis is gone, what a way to walk out.
I have seen those reports.
I've never met a woman who said, I want to be engaged publicly.
On the Jumbotron and the whole thing?
That's the dumbest idea I've ever heard of.
You guys work together a lot. Did you know that he's like a big Swiftie? We had a mic'd up with Travis Kelce the other day after the game, and he's sitting there going, "Oh, like that's really nice."
It's like it's cute.
I'm like, "What?
19-3 when she's in the building.
Yeah.
9-0 this year.
Yeah.
She's in the building today.
All right, God only knows how many hours we've done on this game over the course of the week. Give me the player that you haven't talked about on air that's going to be a factor.
Matt Ariza.
Oh, no hesitation.
Matt, well, have you talked about the punter at all this week?
It is a great
You just asked me, who have we not talked about?
It's a great call.
He has got a huge leg and could be a field position situation so I'll go Matt Ariza.
That is a great pull. I'm going to go with DeAndre Hopkins just because the game is special to him.
Yeah.
Maybe he finds a way to get in the zone because Pat Mahomes appears to have a little history. He's a history buff, so maybe DeAndre Hopkins makes a play today.
Would you tell me in the break it's not a hobby? You're right. That is a great pull. And D-Hop, and if you haven't seen his posts on social media, absolutely terrific. I was geeked up to hear what he had to say on opening night ceremonies, but I do encourage you to go back. His mom, victim of domestic violence, just how big it was for him to be able to say that he is playing in a Super Bowl. Just an awesome story from that perspective, and maybe he does get that first ring. If the Chiefs win, DJ, what do they do to get it done?
Well, they finish in the red zone. They'll move the ball against Vic Fangio in this Eagles defense, but this Eagles defense is lights out once you get down in the red zone. And I think the Eagles offense is going to find a way to score points. So you've got to finish drives. You do not want this to be a Harrison Butker game. You are not going to win if that's the case.
Then to that point, I think the magic number is 30. Every game an offensive coordinator has a feel around the first quarter, second quarter, what's going to be needed. To me, it's 30-plus points to keep up with the Eagles. I don't believe Spags can keep the Eagles down the entire game. They're going to score points. They need an effort very similar to the effort that they had in the AFC Championship.
I almost feel like you're going to be leaning towards Philadelphia with that game pick. Not going to give it away there, just based off of the fact that.
And if you don't like his game pick, just wait till the next show. You could change it for the third time.
I've heard two different game picks from two different shows from Bucky so far this week.
I'm a man of the people.
Yes,
he's going to be right 33% of the time.
All right, let's flip it then from an Eagles perspective, Buck. What's going to happen if they get the W?
DJ talked about it. Clean game. This is when more games are lost than won. So if you're the Eagles, you really tell them, hey, calm down. Don't try and get outside of yourself. Let's play a clean game. Minimal turnovers, minimal penalties. Don't give up big plays on blown assignments. And make sure you take care of business in the kicking game. That's where the Chiefs consistently knock people off. If they do those things, they're the better team. They walk out of the stadium with a dub.
I'm going to give you guys a quiz. They've lost one Super Bowl to Tampa. What happened in that game? You guys remember what happened in that game, Buck?
Oh, yeah, they heated him up.
They heated him up. And so that, to me, is the whole deal. In this ball game, if they can heat up Patrick Mahomes and speed him up like Tampa did in that Super Bowl where their edge rushers just wreaked havoc on their passing game, if the Eagles can do that, and they're capable, it's going to be a tough one for the Chiefs.
And remember, in that game, they did it with a four-man rush and played a soft zone.
Yep.
And just
they're going to do the same thing today.
Made him just sit there and play half-court basketball, and they got frustrated. They never could get over the top.
Isn't it? I mean, I know you're saying it's possible, but I could also point to the good stretch of the first half of the season where it was more than possible. Interceptions from Patrick Mahomes like we haven't seen before. Sack totals, dude was running for his absolute life. Is there something that you point to that explains a dramatic shift from an offensive line perspective, not giving up sacks, and essentially no interceptions since, I think it's like 200 pass attempts or something along those lines since the Buffalo game for Mahomes?
Well, I mean, look, we can talk about the offensive line, but really it's Pat Mahomes that has been able to do it. You can put Joe Thuney out there at left tackle, but trust, they're going to exploit that in this matchup. It's all about Pat Mahomes taking care of the football. He knows week 11, he was like, all right, let me hit the switch. We need to start playing championship caliber football, and that's the thing, 288 straight passes without an interception. Those things matter. He knows how big the turnover game is.
Yeah. This might sound bad, but it's just sometimes with the Chiefs, I think they're bored.
Yeah,
they're in the regular season, they're winning games, and it looks like they could not be more bored in doing so. Almost like challenging yourself like a big brother versus a little brother playing basketball in the driveway.
How far can I fall down?
Okay, we're playing to 11. I'll let him get to 9, and then I'll just go ahead and get 11. And then they flip the switch like they tend to do once we get in the postseason.
So is that what you're?
That's what it looks like. I don't know how else to
I do
describe
believe that they get bored with the regular season process. When you've gone, look, we talked about 5 and 6.
Sure.
They've gone and played so many deep runs. These games don't have energy, so they have to manufacture that, and it's hard for them to do that until they get into the postseason. They know what it takes to win. It's just a matter if they get there, if they're lazy. But we saw week 11, the team changed.
Yeah. Is that an Andy Reid thing, just to manage that properly? Like, I got to imagine that is a difficult thing when you see your team maybe not executing, if it is sort of that boredom.
I think every team that they have is different, too. There's different pieces, and I think Andy Reid he figures it out as you go through the year. Okay, this is the formula. This is the formula for this particular team, and he figured it out.
All right, I've asked you 3 different times this week.
What?
You've given me 2 different ansers.
Have I?
This is, look, we're finishing up in
Have
a
I?
couple minutes.
But this is the only one that counts.
Pick a winner.
This is the only one that counts. You know what? I think you said Brandon Graham came in with the Jordan 45.
Yeah.
Well, I wore 45 in Kansas City. So I'm going with the Kansas City Chiefs.
Oh.
I'm going with the Kansas City Chiefs. Jordan. Pat Mahomes.
And he's trying to get back his North Carolina card for some comments earlier. All right, so yesterday you told me Eagles, today it's Chiefs.
It's a different day.
It is a different day.
More information brings about different choices.
And it feels like it can go that way. I have a feeling I might be lone wolf in this thing. Who's your pick?
I'm going with the Eagles.
Oh, okay.
Yeah. I'm going with the Philadelphia. I think they have the better team, and I think Jaylen Hurts having a little experience in this game matters.
Yeah.
If he protects the football, if Jaylen Hurts just has a clean sheet, no turnovers, I think the Eagles win this game.
I know this. I know this as sure. If the Dodgers were playing the Yankees in the World Series and DJ was on the show, there is no way he would pick the Dodgers. So Yammer, when you're up, there's not a possible way that you will ever pick the Eagles as a Giants fan. I just know it's not possible. I'm going to get up and walk out if you do.
So I've been asked this multiple times today. Who's your pick? And I said, look, if you're going to ask me who I think is going to win the game, I'm going to tell you it's the Philadelphia Eagles, to the points that DJ was just making before. I think they're the better football team. Really hard. There's a reason why we haven't seen teams go and win 3 consecutive games. That said, I'm not rooting for them. I'm a Giants fan. You know how hard it is to see Saquon Barkley ball out like this?
What did you used to say? A retweet is an endorsement. You basically are endorsing the Eagles. Oh, my gosh.
By the way, do you realize this with Buck? Like when Kendrick Lamar and Drake were having their thing, every time a new track would come out, Buck's like, "Oh my God, he got him! He got him!" And then the next one would come out, like, "Oh yes,
new information!
Go.
New information brings about different consequences and choices, and so new information. I can't believe.
I know.
can't believe
it pains me. I don't like it. I mean, I'm just trying to pick wins.
This guy would never. He would never. He would never betray the Padres. He never would. There wouldn't be an inkling. It wouldn't matter who they were playing. He would be like, nope, I just think the other team is better. I just don't see the Dodgers being able to get it done.
I would take the Bad News Bears in 7 over the Dodgers if they played.
He would never. Yeah. He would never do it, Yammer. I question your fandom. I don't know your devotion.
All right, time for Sunday statement here. Look, man, it's hard. It is hard to watch Saquon do this. So you tell me, what's the Sunday statement?
My Sunday statement is, how about a shocker? I think we're going to have a defensive MVP in this game, and it's a name that nobody's said. Milton Williams. Uncle Milty, Milton Williams
in the block.
is going to be the MVP of this game. He's going to maybe even find his way into the end zone, but he's going to make a dramatic impact on this game.
Wow.
This is easy. Like, Chiefs win. Pat Mahomes is winning the MVP. Like, this is what it is. We're talking about the greatest of all time. He should retire right after this. If they pull this off, it should be a done deal. MVP, done deal.
Yeah. By the way, it's twice in the block. You've given us a name that I haven't heard the entire week. So kudos to DJ on that side. I'm going to just double down. Why not? I already said that the Eagles are going to win. We're going to
wear the jersey. Just put the 26 jersey.
No.
Like, just go ahead. Like,
let's not get crazy about it.
Put a 26 Eagles jersey on him.
Let's not get crazy about it. Saquon, your MVP. Best team is best player on the field.
Bucky's favorite flavor ice cream, chocolate. Tomorrow it'll be vanilla.
Just get the swirl. Enjoy the Super Bowl, everyone.